agrees otherwise. And that's BBC Radio Scotland News.
Thank you very much for that, Craig. You're listening to BBC Radio Scotland with Laura McGee. I was asking you this morning how seriously you take your data security. Loads of texts came in. Thank you to all of you who messaged. And this one, I had the exact same with my Facebook business and personal account. I had the same experience with Facebook, had to start all over again. I still can't link my Instagram to Facebook. So frustrating. Morning, Laura. I am one of the many who's affected by a well-known car sales company data breach. Not happy about it, to say the least. Not sure what's happening, if anything, with regards to the resolution. I'm not putting my name on this, as I've started a competition claim against the car sales company. And this one, morning, Laura. Every time I visit my building society, they ask the same question. Do you want to sign up for online banking? They tell me it's totally secure. I don't know how many times I've heard security experts on programmes like yours say it will not. You will be hacked. So, on top of that, they want us to get all in line the quicker they can close the branch. That's from John in Glasgow. Thank you very much to everybody who has been in touch with the programme this morning. Very, very interesting chat. I hope you'll agree. It's just turned 6 minutes past 10, coming up on
When I'm writing, I'm in control. Nothing happens without me saying so. And it's not real. I know I'm just making this stuff up.
The Queen of Crime, Val McDermid, tells all on receiving an honorary doctorate and her upcoming novel. Plus, it's Wednesday, so that means we have another humdrum conundrum for our judgmental friend, Karen McKenzie.
Is it unreasonable to say that guests should know better than to wear white to a wedding?
What do you reckon then? Should you wear white as a guest to a wedding, or is that a big no-no? Karen always has an opinion, but it's you who are the jury in the next half hour. It's the Court of Karen. And if your partner snoring is causing you sleep problems, you're best to kick them out of your bed, apparently. That's what a professor of circadian neuroscience at Oxford University says. We'll find out just how to save your relationship with a chronic snorer.
All the conversations that matter.
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
Living on the move, trying to get ahead, working too hard. Something on the street you can never be, you don't get far. Try to work it out, you wanna get away, they won't let go. But hunger in your heart tears you apart, it's taking your soul. Coming
Good morning to you all. Thank you very much for being my company this morning. Mornings with Laura McGee. It is 11 minutes past 10 and I have a absolute treat for you now. From the Queen of Crime to the Doctor of Crime, Scottish author Val McDermid's outstanding achievements in writing has earned her an honorary doctorate from Oxford University. The Tartan Noir writer, who's best known for her novels The Wire, In the Blood and The Mermaid Singing, says she is delighted to receive the accolade despite her humble roots. With the ITV adaptation of her Karen Pirie series renewed for a second season and another book on the horizon, Val looks to be in for a huge year, and she joins me now to tell us all about it. Good morning, Val, or should I say Dr. Val?
Just Val will do fine, Laura.
Well, congratulations. I mean, that is quite an achievement. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, to be honest. It's really wasn't expected. I didn't know this was coming at all, and I certainly never imagined that this is an accolade that I would ever receive.
Yeah.
You know, the other people who are getting this honour this year include a Nobel Prize winner, the former president of Chile, Lise Doucet. You know, the amazing international correspondent for the BBC, and that's the sort of person who gets an honorary doctorate from Oxford. You know, they only dish out half a dozen every year, and I really didn't think I was ever going to be in that echelon.
Well, you absolutely deserve it. And I will probably never, ever receive an honorary doctorate of anything. And I've come to terms with that, Val. What's the process? Did they just randomly get in touch with you and tell you?
Yeah, basically they get in touch with you and tell you you've been nominated for it, and that this then has to be passed by Congregation, which is the governing body of the university, which has about 5,000 members. And they have in the past said no to people. They rejected Margaret Thatcher, for example.
Oh, did they?
I knew I'd been nominated, so I had then the fingernail-biting period of waiting till Congregation approved me.
Yeah.
And then you get, it's an astonishing pomp and circumstance. There's a special day called Insignia in the university calendar, and this is simply for the awarding of honorary degrees. And it starts the night before with a black tie dinner, and then you have Lord Crewe's benefaction for breakfast, which is champagne, peaches and strawberries.
Oh, wow.
And then you put on the full academic dress and you process through the streets of Oxford to the Sheldonian Theatre, and the degree is conferred on you. And then you go off to a garden party. I mean, it's quite the thing.
Well, it sounds very exciting. Could you have imagined that you would be partaking in all of that when you were young? Would you have ever thought that's where your future would take you?
No, I mean, absolutely not. You know, I mean, I grew up in working class background in Kirkcaldy. I was the first Scottish State School student to go to my college at Oxford St Hilda's. So I didn't think that was written in the stars for me. You know, people like us don't get to do things like this.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what it was like for you growing up then.
Well, you know, as I say, working class family. My granddads were both miners. When I was born, my dad worked in the shipyard. He ended up working for the town council. You know, I just had an ordinary life, really, and went to school in Kirkcaldy, Kirkcaldy High School, and was always encouraged by my teachers and by my parents, to be fair. My mum and my dad both encouraged me. They wanted me to have more life chances than they'd had, because they were classic of their generation, very bright people who couldn't afford to stay at school past 14 because their families needed wages coming in. So in a way, their brightness, their intelligence was kind of wasted, and they were determined that wasn't going to happen to me.
As you were saying, you were the first student from a Scottish state school to go to St Hilda's College in Oxford. How big a change was that for you to adapt to?
Oh, it was a massive culture shock. You know, I mean, I come from Fife, well, the Spigs fly back there to keep the stew out the rain. And when I went to Oxford, I had a braid Fife accent, and nobody could understand a word I said. I mean, literally, my first tutorial started reading out my essay, and my tutor stopped me and said, "I'm most terribly sorry, Miss McDermid. I haven't understood a word you've said. Might you begin again, and perhaps more slowly this time?" So I realised the first thing I had to do was learn to speak English. So what you hear now is what my partner calls my Radio 4 Scottish accent.
Well, it's very lovely, but equally as lovely as your pre-Radio 4 accent as well, I'm sure. Do you think that we have changed a lot since when you went to university? Do you think the education system has changed in terms of more people feeling comfortable to go to universities like Oxford, like Cambridge?
I sincerely hope so. I think the thing that people should hold in their heads is to choose the university that works best for them. Because not all universities are created equal. Not all universities have the same options available. And I think what people have to figure out is what they want to do, and not just be sort of blinded by the glitz and glamour, as they see it, of places like Oxbridge, because that doesn't suit everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a great time. I feel I exploited my 3 years to the hilt. But there were people I knew who were not happy, who were not comfortable with it, and probably would have been happier somewhere else.
Let's talk a little bit about your 39th novel. 39 novels. Goodness, you've been busy, Val.
Yeah, I don't quite know how that happened, really. I mean, it just doesn't feel like 39 books ago that I started out. But the new novel this year is Karen Pirie, coming out in the autumn. It's called Past Lying. And it's set in lockdown. The previous Karen Pirie novel, Still Life, finished just as lockdown was about to start. And so I couldn't write about that at the time because everything was changing day to day. It was terrifying. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know how many people would die. We didn't know where we were going with it. And I couldn't write in that environment about here and now. So I went backwards to 79 and 89 with a new character. But I've gone back to Karen because really, and I was in New Zealand last year for 4 months. I'm a visiting professor at the University of Otago in Dunedin. And this idea for a Karen Pirie came into my head and just wouldn't go away. You know, it's like having something banging at the back of your head. And I thought the only way to get rid of this is to write the book. So I did. And as I say, it's set in lockdown. It's not about lockdown, but that's the backdrop to the story. And for this particular story, it works really well.
Karen Pirie has been such a popular character as well, and of course the ITV adaptation of your novels has been renewed for a second season. Can you give us any intel on that, Val? Can you tell us any more about what's happening there?
Well, we're working on scripts at the moment and hoping to be filming early next year. Is the idea. The second novel, we're adapting the second novel, A Darker Domain.
Yeah.
And everybody's very excited to get going on it. So just have to keep our fingers crossed that everything goes smoothly.
Yeah, it must be wonderful when something that you have created in your head, you've put it down on paper, is then taken and put on TV screens that can then reach another audience that maybe never got to read it in the novel form.
Exactly. I mean, the only reason really that writers ever agree to adaptation is because it brings more people to the books. And it does have an extraordinary reach. As I said, I was in New Zealand last autumn and it was being shown in New Zealand. And I was walking down the street, literally walking down the street in Dunedin one day, and a woman pulled up in a car and said, "You're Val McDermid. We're watching Karen Pirie on the telly. It's great." I said, just, so it has sort of spread my wings wider, if you like.
Yeah.
And Lauren Lyle, who plays Karen, I think does a brilliant job. You know, she doesn't look like the Karen Pirie in my head, but she completely embodies Karen in terms of her personality and her delivery. I think I've been very lucky there.
Yeah, how is it for a writer who creates this whole world to then see it put on television or put on the big screen when, as you've said, that maybe it wasn't how you quite thought it would look, but absolutely how you imagined it character-wise? How is it for you seeing something that is what you created, but maybe not exactly as you created it?
I think you have to make that separation in your head between the books that you write and what appears on the screen. And you have to work with people that you trust to I suppose, replicate your vision. And that's the important thing. I mean, at the beginning, you sit down with producers and directors, writers, and you talk about the elements that are important in these books, and you just hope that they will deliver. And I've been lucky so far with the Wire in the Blood series and with Karen Pirie that's what's happened. But I think there's a story about Elmore Leonard, the great American writer. Somebody asked him, "How do you feel about what Hollywood's done to your books?" And he gestured to the shelf behind him and said, "Hollywood's done nothing to my books. They're exactly as they always were, sitting there on the shelf." And that's what you hold on to, I guess, that people who are attracted by the television series will discover your books and fall in love with them.
Yeah, and why do you think it has gone down such a storm with viewers. You're saying people as far away as Dunedin are shouting from the car at you to say that they love it. Why do you think people have just really taken Karen Perry and really run with it?
I think it's two things. It's a really, the director did a great job. It looks terrific. It looks like really good, smart television, and we've got great cast. They've got and obviously I would say they had great material to work with.
Yeah, of course.
That's what they make of it. I mean, a lot of times people have great material to work with and make a terrible television series, but I've been blessed doubly with this.
It's the merging of the two. Just before I let you go, Val, I was reading an article in the Scotsman that you were involved in just a few days ago, talking about culture, talking about it being for everyone, not just the few. I just wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about why you've spoken out about these unprecedented funding cuts to local culture and heritage budgets, something that no doubt will be very close to your heart.
Yeah, I think it matters. It matters that people have access to a wider culture than just what's put in front of them. Television is all very well, but it's not an interactive process. You sit down and you're spoon-fed. It's the same with so much that happens on screens, where people need to connect with things that they feel engaged with. Going to the library, being involved with the kind of groups that coalesce around arts centres and general places of community. We need to get that sense of community, and that sense of community comes largely through culture. It comes because we're reading the same things, we're talking about them, we're going to see the same things, we're watching a dance performance, we go to a concert, we go to a gig. These things are all really important. They're the glue that holds us together. We're not all sitting here like single wee islands in this world. We have to make those connections. And a cultural life gives you those connections, and it should be available to everybody. It shouldn't just be available to people who can afford it.
What more do you think needs to be done then?
We need to stop closing libraries for a start. I think politicians talk about libraries as if they're some ancient, archaic thing where you go and borrow a book and that's it. They have no concept of what a modern library is like, the community that coalesces around a library, clubs that meet in the library, people who socialise through the library, listening to music, listening to talking books. It's not just this sort of single little thing. And for me, certainly, libraries changed my life. I wouldn't be a writer if it wasn't for the public library system. But we need to get a grip of the fact that libraries are much more than just books. And closing libraries it strips away from people, strips away their opportunity, it strips away the possibilities of imagination. It closes lives down, not allowing them to be opened up.
Yeah, Val.
I know I bang the drum on this.
No, not at all.
Thump on this, but I think it's really vital, particularly in a generation of kids who, we all think about kids being glued to their tablets, glued to screens, but so many kids don't have access to that.
Yeah.
And if they don't have access to universities, where it's also they don't have access to libraries, which is also a place where they can go online, we're starving them.
Yeah. Well, listen, Val, if you're not going to be banging the drum as one of, our most successful Scottish authors ever, then who is going to bang the drum for things like that? Thank you so much for joining me this morning. It's been lovely speaking to you. That's Val McDermid, Dr. Val McDermid there, talking about her new book, the ITV adaptation of Karen Perry. And of course, we're talking a little bit about culture at the end. And she has indeed earned herself an honorary doctorate from the Oxford University. So well done to Val. You're listening to Mornings with Laura McGee. The time is 10:24.
That report says you're brothers. You, sir, are a Negro. He is white. Is somebody trying to jerk me around?
No, sir. Actually, we're foster brothers.
Yeah, see, I ran away from this orphanage.
I'm sure it's a very touching story, but shut up!
Every day in New York City.
We got a police action, sir. 6 lines south of Wall Street.
It's the job of the transit cop.
Come on, Grandma!
Stay. To risk his life and keep the peace.
How you guys doing? Nice to meet you.
Smoking. Let her go. Damn, this job is looking up.
They're not just partners.
You brought the money, right? Yeah, $300.
Hey, mother owes Mr. Brown $15,000.
15,000? Drop him.
They're family.
He's a great guy, huh?
Yeah.
Too bad he's got that problem with women.
Now, they're about to discover
They're stopping trains. I want to know why.
So we got cops on the tracks down there.
Nothing stops the money train.
the system cares more about the train that carries its money.
My train. My people. My money.
Than it does about its cops.
You mess with my train, and I'll kill you.
3-4 million at least. You know what we could do with that kind of money?
We're not going to rob the money train.
Why not?
Because we're cops.
You're a loser. You're a wreck looking for some place to happen. I'll be there.
But why take the heat when you can take the train?
We gotta do this. We can do this.
No.
We're gonna do it.
No.
We're gonna do it.
Thanksgiving. The train, it's your station. Money Train.
With you and me together, man, what can stop us?
Weekend mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
Getting to the heart of the stories making the news.
Let's have a listen to some of this week's big moments.
A place for all the talking points and the questions that matter.
Is this really worth the money? Does this help?
What is the government able to do to try and deal with this?
Wake up to the great outdoors on a Saturday.
Do you think this is summer?
Oh, yeah, I've got a fleece on.
Yeah, it's not warm enough. I've still got my winter coat on.
And worship and thoughtful discussion on a Sunday.
We bring our thanks and praise.
How do these spaces help the body, the mind and the soul?
The place to be this weekend.
I was actually just jumping up and down in the kitchen to the radio.
BBC Radio Scotland.
You're listening to BBC Radio Scotland with Laura McGee, still to come this morning.
Is it unreasonable to say that guests should know better than to wear white to a wedding?
The Court of Karen returns with another humdrum conundrum. Karen presents the case and you decide the verdict. This
usage rates apply.
Mornings with Kay Adams on BBC Radio Scotland.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being our company this morning. It's just coming up to 10:30 and she's back. Time for another Humdrum Conundrum with our judgmental friend Karen McKenzie. Every week we deal with one of life's minor irritations, a conundrum guaranteed to divide and even grind gears. Karen McKenzie always has an opinion, but you are the jury and the final verdict is with you. But first, how are you, Karen?
I'm fine. It's nice to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you as well. This is our first Court of Karen together. Hopefully, first of many. I'm interested to meet the real Karen in person. I've heard you so much.
I see. I thought you meant what you're going to hear from me. I was thinking, oh God, yeah, my reputation goes before me.
It does.
Please, this is not the real. I don't know. Anyway, I'm here.
Well,
yes.
It's lovely to see you, regardless. And also, this morning is broadcaster Adele Cunningham. Hello, Adele.
Good morning.
It is also our first meeting as well.
It is nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well.
Finally in person.
Finally in person. It's lovely to be all together, ladies. We should get to today's trial. We'll go through and deliberate this week's case for you, the jury, and then you can get in touch with your thoughts and ultimately today's verdict. So let's hear this week's conundrum.
I was recently the bridesmaid at my friend's wedding. It was a beautiful day that was slightly spoiled by not one, but two guests wearing white lacy dresses. They would not have looked out of place at their own wedding. My friend saw them and she was understandably upset. I couldn't believe that they thought it was an okay thing to wear. I asked one of the guests during the reception why she was wearing that, and she looked so confused and basically told me to mind my own business. Is this happening at every wedding? Is it unreasonable to expect people to resist wearing white to this one occasion?
Is it indeed? Is it unreasonable to expect people to resist wearing white to this one occasion? Karen, what
year are we in?
Oh, well, indeed. What are your initial thoughts on this? Your first reaction to this?
I can't believe that somebody would go up to somebody else at a reception and say, "What are you doing wearing that?" How rude is that? I think, God almighty, we're in 2023 now. Do brides actually still wear white? I'm not quite sure. They probably, I don't know, off-white ivory, if anything. But I think anything goes at a wedding now, whether it's the bride or whether it's the guests or whatever. So I think this is something in nothing, really.
So, do you think then that it's fair game if I wanted to go to my friend's wedding and I wanted to wear almost a wedding dress, that's fine?
Are you really going to do that if you're a friend? I think, what we're talking about is maybe it's the in-laws side, somebody that doesn't actually know the bride. I don't actually know why you would wear white right to a wedding for a kick-off. Let's face it, look at us lot in the west coast of Scotland, peely-wally, kind of freckled, and I'm putting myself in there as well. You're really going to turn up at wedding wearing white. However, if you do, it's not going to be flowing, it's not going to be lacy. You're not going to, in no way are you going to upstage the bride. The bride is going to look brilliant, and nobody, regardless of what they wear, they're going to upstage them. So I think that is the issue. Are you really going to wear white because you'll upstage the bride? It's not going to happen.
Adele, I fully disagree. I think I would be absolutely horrified if someone turned up white in my wedding. Right, I'll tell you why. So, when you go to a funeral, you wear black.
No, you don't.
Yes,
no, you don't.
Unless you're told otherwise. Are you the only person at the funeral that doesn't wear black? No.
It's a celebration of somebody's life. And if it's stipulated, if it's an elder, if it's,
but it's never
somebody
stipulated.
With respect. No, it is
but
actually,
the thing is,
it can be. But we're not talking about funerals,
yes, but
right?
my example and my whole point is, when I go to a funeral, I wear black.
Well,
I don't
that's your choice, Adele.
What colour have I to wear?
That's your
is
choice.
That okay? No, that's what I know since I was born. That when you go to funeral, you wear black.
Is actually
and
the
it's
case.
The same with a wedding, Karen. You don't go to a wedding wearing white. Have you been married before, Laura?
I have been married.
Are you married
just
still
the
now?
once. Just the once.
How many times, Laura? Can you just state it now?
Just the once. Still married.
Any of those occasions.
So you're happily married. You wore white, did you?
You're getting a wee bit personal.
No, I'm only asking a question.
My wedding dress wasn't white.
Yes,
she's a bold person. But if someone turned up,
I am the worst person you could have asked that to.
Actually, my daughter got married last year, and it was teal and beautiful and
gorgeous.
Would she
but that's
have said,
the bride.
But would she have said, can nobody else wear teal, please? Because I'm wearing teal. No, you would never dream of saying
But
that.
would you have been okay at your daughter's wedding if she was stood there in teal looking as stunning as she did, and
Nobody could
some
have upstaged her.
daft birds rocked up wearing a teal dress as well? You would have said, "Oh, that's a bit edgy, is it not?"
I would not
You
have.
would have. Come on. I would not enjoy anyone turning up at my wedding. Not that I've ever been married before, but if I ever do and someone wears white, I
Like
would
they
feel
say married before. Have you been married at all?
No.
Right, okay, that's
never.
fine.
That's what I mean, right? I've never been married. So if I was
So
to...
you would
I'd
like
feel-
to get married? Is this what we're saying?
This is what
She's
this
looking for
show's
a
about.
proposal, folks out there.
But I would be slightly offended. I mean, I certainly wouldn't go up and say what you're
Slightly.
doing, but I definitely would have an issue with that.
If you were the guest at someone else's wedding,
I'd never wear white.
But would you? And someone did wear white. Another guest did. Would you approach
Talk
them
about
and
them all
say,
night,
well, you would-
absolutely.
but behind their back, you wouldn't say it to them.
I don't know if I'd approach them. If I knew them well enough, I'd maybe go, "Are you kidding on that you're wearing whites? This
End
is
of
just
relationship."
Yes, this is such a disrespectful thing to do. But I just think that it's just, we've known it for a long time.
No,
yes,
you've
maybe
known-
times have changed,
They
Karen.
have
I
changed.
agree.
Get with it.
Fully agree, right? I fully agree. However, as it stands for me, on a personal note, I would be horrified if someone turned up at anyone's wedding wearing
I
white.
don't think you can stipulate what guests wear and can't wear.
No, of course you can't. You can't, make them commit to that, but they respectfully should.
If you were invited to a wedding, Karen, in the
Well.
summer, if you were, and
Third time round in my age, right? Okay, that's.
But if you were just the guest though,
Yes.
and you found a wonderful dress that was ivory, but
Yes.
it didn't look like necessarily a wedding dress, but it was ivory, would you be absolutely happy? You wouldn't have a worry in the world of
Right,
showing
first of all,
up to
you
that
wouldn't see
wedding.
me dead in anything that looked remotely like a wedding
Okay,
dress. We'll get that
She's
out of the way
she's in a
first.
lovely fluorescent silky.
Fluorescent. I've just come off the roads. I've been working on the
lovely.
roads, and that's me in here now.
You see the bright
Yeah,
colours.
high vis. If I had just come back from a holiday and had a suntan and I saw this amazing ivory dress, it would need to be knee length. It wouldn't be longer. Yeah, I probably would wear it.
That's such a brass neck.
I couldn't talking.
I honestly couldn't do that.
And how would you feel then if somebody at the wedding came up to you and said, "Do you think what you're wearing is maybe
Is it
inappropriate?"
inappropriate? I would go, do you know what? You're probably right. But there we are. It's too late now, isn't it? But do you know what?
That's them
I
told.
mean, at the end of the day, am I ever going to wear ivory or white? It's not happening.
There's the point.
that's you
proven.
personally,
That's
though.
me. But I would have no objections if anyone had turned up wearing white, because I tell you, at Lisa's wedding last year, nobody knew she was going to turn up in a teal dress except for the bridesmaids and family. So had anyone turned up in a white dress or a teal dress or anything like that, God, you just wouldn't go and say anything to anybody. You just wouldn't.
But a lot of the time, Karen, people do try and check what the bridesmaids are wearing colour-wise. If you were going to a wedding and you knew that you weren't a bridesmaid and you found out that the bridesmaids are wearing like purple,
As a guest,
you might
you
not
mean?
wear purple because you don't want to be mistaken for a bridesmaid when you're not a bridesmaid.
Right. Well, it's so long since I've been invited to a wedding, apart from the one last year, that I didn't know that these things that you're supposed to check out what the bridesmaid. I thought it was all supposed to be a surprise anyway when you see them coming trotting down the aisle that it's or if they get married, wherever they get
Well,
married.
if you do get invited to a wedding, all you need to know is don't wear white and don't wear teal. Just
Well,
in
I
case.
won't be wearing it to yours if you ever get married, so don't worry about that.
I'll pick your outfit. You can wear that fluorescent top. That'll do us.
Adele, why do you think it's different for women as it is for men? Because if you
know,
go,
exactly.
if you go to a funeral, if you go to a wedding, the men, the groomsmen all wear pretty much the exact same outfits,
Yeah,
and
you've got a
there's not really
kilt
that
and
much
you've
of a
got- yes.
difference for the guests as well. So why do you think it's
Oh my
inappropriate for
God,
a woman
that's
to wear
so
white?
true. That's so true. Never thought of that.
Because that's
That's
just the
why
way
I'm here, Karen, to enlighten us all.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, that's just the way of the world, isn't it? Women,
Well, we
it's
need
just-
to change it.
And I don't
Well, you're
disagree.
not changing it by sitting there
I
saying
know, but
don't wear
I
ivory
don't
and don't
disagree
wear
with
white.
it. It should be changed. I think everyone should wear what they should wear. But I just think, for me personally, I
Right,
would
now you're
never wear
contradicting
white.
yourself.
No, but I just wouldn't do that. I just think it's disrespectful. And also, if I was going to a wedding with my partner and I knew that, say, all that the bridal party, the groom and everyone else was wearing kilts, I'd probably say, "Well, don't wear a kilt because that's what they." I would.
No, you would
I
not.
would.
Oh my God, how controlling are you?
Very. Very controlling. My poor other half.
As Karen was saying, not all brides wear white, though. So do you think it's right now as big an issue as it maybe was 20, 30, 40 years ago, where it was the only person really that wore white? They had a veil. They were very clearly the bride.
Exactly.
Their dress was the size of
Yes.
Edinburgh.
And Meringue.
Exactly. So do you think it is such a deal now? Because people are getting married in different ways. The small weddings, they are maybe not necessarily having a ceremony in a church and things like that. So do you think it is such a big issue now?
Yes,
Adele?
I do. I still fully stand by it. I think that, and you're right, it's not the way it was. You used to pay thousands of pounds for a wedding and everyone got involved, and it was Jewish and it was a church and it was traditional and it was the way it was. And now Karen's daughter wore teal, stunning, lovely. Things have changed. However, for me, just on a personal note, I just feel I wouldn't have the brass neck to wear white at a wedding.
But it's not just that you wouldn't have the brass neck, you wouldn't want anyone else to have the brass neck.
No, I wouldn't like it. If I was stood up and watched the bride come down the aisle and looked over at a guest and she had on a white dress, I would just think, wow.
But why do you think it's an issue? Is it the upstaging?
No, not for me, the upstaging necessarily. I think it's just all about the respect. It's like going to the funeral, everyone's wearing black and you're the only person wearing pink. It's not what was asked of you. It's just, and
Nothing
sadly
was
that's
asked
the
of
way
us.
that it is.
The thing is, nothing was asked of us.
I know, but that's why it doesn't need, it's an unsaid thing that you just don't wear white to a wedding. You don't do it. And
Get
I know
off
there's
that
lots
fence.
of people.
Get off
No,
that
I'm not.
fence.
And I know there's lots of people right now listening going, I fully agree with Adele.
Well, I'll just give you one final question, Karen, before we bring this to an end, and we'll get the verdict obviously later on after 11. But if you know it's going to hurt someone's feelings, and it doesn't really mean much to you, if you knew that the bride was going to be upset, whether you agree with that or not, if you knew that they would be upset when you were there wearing white,
right?
would you
Let's
just
turn
not do
it round, and if they were wearing some like orangey pinky thing, right, that I've got a really nice outfit that I like that's colour, I would think, God, I was planning to wear that. So that's probably the same thing, because I would never wear white. So if it was the case that I found out that they were wearing the same colour as I was going to wear the same colours they were getting married in. No, of course.
You're contradicting yourself.
No, if you're
now.
going to upset somebody.
Come on, Laura.
No.
But that shows that you have got a kind thought.
We've found out something
lovely.
today, I guess.
Well, there's a heart.
Yes.
Cold as it is.
Karen has a heart. So
is it beating?
Breaking news. Thank you very much for both of your arguments on both sides of the discussion, ladies. We will have you back after 11 o'clock. And if you want to get in touch with us this morning and give us your thoughts, we are asking, is it unreasonable to expect people to resist wearing white to this one occasion? And this one occasion is a wedding. Let me know. Get in touch. 80295. The time is 10:42.
Meteor Man's in town.
He's come to save the world, one neighborhood at a time.
Meteor Man. Sorry, Mike.
Robert Townsend, Marla Gibbs, Eddie Griffin, Robert Guillaume, James Earl Jones, Bill Cosby, and another bad creation. Special appearances by Luther Vandross, Sinbad, Naughty by Nature, Cypress Hill, and Big Daddy Kane.
Stay chilly. Peace them out. Chilly.
Robert Townsend is...
Have a good night, folks.
Meteor Man, directed by Robert Townsend.
You're listening to BBC Radio Scotland with Laura McGee. Good morning. Still to come on the programme, is a lack of punishment to blame for pupil misbehaviour in our schools? That's what we'll be talking about next. Plus...
You can leave your hat on. You can leave your hat on. You can leave your hat on.
25 years later, the original cast members from the Full Monty speak to us about the reboot. Right, let's have some more music, shall we?
more. Give me your love, I'm gonna give you mine. You're gonna have it all in a nick of time. I had the front, now I want the back. Give it to me, baby, don't cut no slack. You're giving me love, but you know it's not enough. I need to know, baby, can you back it up? I gave my love, now you're giving it back. You say it's okay, but it's not what you like. You wanna be hard and you wanna be tough. I need to know one thing, baby. Can you back it up? Can't get enough. Can you back it up? Can't get enough, girl. Can you back it up? Can't get enough. Can you back it up? Can't get enough. You say you went out and you've been to the club. You had a lot of fun, just you and your girls. You had a few drinks and a couple under your belt. Let's go to bed, I'm gonna make you melt. Throw it to the left now, throw it to the right. Let's do it, baby, do it all night. I gave my love, now you're giving it back. You say it's okay, but it's not what you like. You wanna be hard and you wanna be tough. I need to know one thing, babe. Can you back it up? Can't get enough. Can you back it up? Can't get enough. Can you back it up? The way you do that, get enough. Take that thing. Can you back it up? I don't care who cares. Can't get enough. You're fine, baby. Can't get enough. Can't back it up. 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 I had the front, now I want the back. Give it to me, baby, don't cut no slack. You're giving me love, but you know it's not enough. I need to know, baby, can you back it up? I gave my love, but just know it's not enough. I need to know, baby, can you bring it on back? Can you back it up? Can't get enough.
Get in touch with BBC Radio Scotland.
You can call our free phone number on 08085 92 95 00. Text 80295. Standard message rates apply.
This is BBC Radio Scotland.
Good morning. You are listening to Mornings with Laura. Today are the days of punishment, exercises and detention in schools over. I wonder if you got a few punishment exercises in your time. I never received detention once. However, I was pretty close to it a couple of times. More schools have been implementing restorative practice or justice in place of more punitive consequences to try and help badly behaved children develop empathy and understanding of why what they did was wrong. But recently, the Scottish Secondary Teachers Association have unanimously backed a motion that warns the approach is time-consuming and, if mishandled, can result in severe damage to teachers' classroom authority. So does restorative justice in school work? And is the lack of more traditional discipline is it resulting in the increase of violence we've seen reported in schools recently? Well, let's find out a little bit more. We are joined this morning by Seamus Searson, General Secretary of the Scottish Secondary Teachers Association, Dr. Karen Cullen, who's an educational psychologist, and Emer O'Hagan, writer and mum of two. Good morning to all of you. Thank you very much for being with me this morning. Seamus, I will start with you first of all. I think it would be very helpful for you to explain what restorative practice is, because I certainly don't really know the ins and outs of it.
Well, I mean, it's when a situation develops in the classroom and a young person is not, if you're not maintaining the sort of order that needs to be done, undertaken in the classroom, then what needs to happen is a conversation with that young person to identify what's happened in the classroom, what's the implications of it, and actually trying to get them to understand that this behaviour is not acceptable. And then there's an assurance that the young person says, well, yeah, this won't happen again. And therefore, they're made aware of it, and therefore that should be the end of the story. But it's not as simple as I've just said there. It takes a lot of time to actually understand and get the youngster to realise where they are. But we also need the teachers trained to do this. And unfortunately, there isn't the time. And each of these incidents, if you imagine a secondary school, there's a number of classes, one after the other. You could have one incident in each one of those during the day. And when is the time then to try and do some of this work? Because what the downside for many teachers is that the situation is it was poor before COVID, but it's now become even more so. And the important bit for us is that people are actually talking about it, and there's acknowledgement there is a problem. Because for a long period of time, we've been facing a situation where there's been it isn't really happening, or if it is happening, it's the fault of the teacher. Your lessons aren't interesting, and therefore that's why these things happen. And of course, that's not true at all. So what we're very keen to do is actually make sure that people acknowledge there's a problem, and actually, because once you do that, you can then deal with it. So we're hoping that over the next few months, because the minister has said about having a behaviour summit with all the various parties involved in that to find a way forward. To us, that's a big step in the right direction. But the important bit is that we do need to maintain some sort of order in school, or else learning doesn't take place.
Yeah, we were talking about teachers yesterday, actually. We were talking about phones in school, and that was just another thing that seemed to be added to teachers to have to deal with, and they do have a lot to contend with right now, no doubt about it. Is that kind of restorative practice, is that instead of them being basically just handed a punishment exercise on the spot or told immediately, right, get out the classroom, go to the head teacher kind of thing?
This is the main thrust in most schools at the moment is the restorative practice. That's not to say it's the only one, but you mentioned mobile phones, for example, and I think that's a very good example, is that when a youngster has a mobile phone, there's a responsibility on their part to make sure they use it when it's appropriate, and it's probably not appropriate in most lessons. And therefore it shouldn't be out of their pockets or out of their bags. But when a youngster brings out the mobile phone and it disrupts the lesson, and it does, because they can be talking to somebody or not listening to what's going on, they're asked to put it away. The responsibility on their part is to do what they've been asked to do. And if that continues over and over, it doesn't matter how many restorative practice meetings that you undertake, that at some point something else has to happen, because the youngsters don't see that doesn't appear to be any consequence for I'll say sorry and it's all okay, and then the next week they do it again, and how far does this go? So I think we do need to understand that we do need the support of the parents, very much so, to make sure that we do have some sort of way that learning can be achieved in schools. We did a survey a few months ago, and we found, particularly in S1, S2, S3, and partly because of COVID, that's created all sorts of problems, is about 20% of each lesson is wasted with just trying to get some sort of order in the classroom, where youngsters are disrupting things. All little bits, they all add up, and that's not very fair to all the youngsters in the class.
Yeah. Dr. Kieran Cullen is with us this morning as well, educational psychologist. Thanks very much for joining us, Kieran.
Oh, that's a pleasure.
Rick, tell me a little bit about your thoughts on this then. Do these types of practices work in a school setting?
Well, it's as Seamus was saying, it's a complicated topic, and the practices are sound in terms of the principles and the values they espouse, and they can work over time, but they're not the whole picture. They require whole school involvement, and the school community, in fact, so that includes obviously parents and carers, the community generally. And they do require training, just as Seamus was saying. So it has to be done systematically and carefully over time. It has to be properly funded. And it goes in tandem with the other, probably what I would call more short-term methods of sanction and reward for getting the sort of behaviour that's necessary for children's learning to take place.
How do we get teachers to implement it then? How do we train up teachers to be able to deal with this situation when they are already having to deal with everyone else in the classroom?
Yeah, it's as I said before, it's a whole school project, there has to be some budgeting of time and resources for training teachers, and everybody has to be coming from the same direction on this. There have to be sort of systems in place that everybody feels confident with and well informed on. Now, there are many sort of commercial companies that offer restorative practice and justice training for school staff. Usually the local authorities and central government will obviously need to be involved in terms of allocating resources. But it's not a quick fix. It's something that has to be developed over time, and it has to be evaluated and monitored carefully as well. So when big claims are made about, we use restorative practice in our school and therefore our attendance rates are better, exclusion rates are lower, these are huge claims. They need to be substantiated with careful data collection and actually talking to everybody in the school community who's involved. I mean, teaching is so complex, and each teacher has to develop their own style. They have to have high confidence. They have to feel well supported by the school's management. And I'm not saying anything new here. So just adding in another approach, another strategy that happens to be called restorative practice and justice isn't the answer necessarily, but it can contribute to things working better generally.
A lot of our listeners today, Kieran, might be of a generation that maybe had physical punishment, that perhaps had quite strict punishment when they were younger. Are those types of practices just too old-fashioned now, like detention, expulsion? Are they ineffective nowadays?
Well, here's the thing. Do these measures actually address the underlying issues that give rise to the difficult behaviour or the lack of attention or even disruption or conflict? There's so many forms of difficult behaviour, aren't there? But do they actually, does excluding a child do anything other than really kick the can down the road to another educational establishment, or, as research has shown later on, the criminal justice system? If you exclude a child from this wonderful opportunity to develop and learn and to become a functional and effective adult, does it actually help in the long term? Does it help the individual or the system? I don't think so. So I think something like restorative justice, restorative practice, it actually is trying to embed in a whole school way some really important bases for development and learning.
Yeah. Amar O'Hagan, writer and mum of two, is with us this morning as well. Amar, thank you very much for being with us. What are you witnessing in terms of behaviours in schools? Are you noticing that children are acting out a little bit more? You've obviously got two children, and what are they saying about the classroom? What are they saying about other kids in the classroom?
Yeah, I mean, my children are P1 and P3, so we are early in our kind of education journey as a family, and it does make me feel so worried when I hear one of my fellow guests talking about having to have behaviour summits about secondary level children, because I think, oh my gosh, like what kind of system are my children sort of heading into in terms of how other children behave? I mean, for sure, I think teachers are worried to be strict. They're very scared about being strict, and they hold back from doing that. Partly they feel maybe they're not allowed to be. They worry about the pushback from parents because, I think at the root of this is the kind of mess that modern parenting is. Children are coming to school who really have no concept of boundaries and discipline and punishment because it hasn't been implemented at home. And I think teachers worry about the pushback from parents if they take a stricter approach. And for sure, the result is that, I do see children, even at my own children's school, which is a very good school and, for the most part, great children, really difficult behaviours, which then affect everybody and affect other children's ability and opportunity to learn. So, even at their kind of young age, especially, I think, post-pandemic, this is bedding in, and it does make me worried about what the future looks like for them in the education system.
Yeah. Seamus, just let me come back to you. And we've had a text during this conversation that says restorative justice was tested and failed, severe punishments removed and violence increased. Threat and pain work. Badness understands pain. Psychologists who learned life through a textbook as a lovely, fluffy place do not live in reality. I just wonder, do you think that some students have cottoned on to the lack of real consequence when it comes to punishments?
I think that's probably a very important point. There is no consequences for poor behaviour. And I think that's one of the, we're trying to reason with youngsters to understand the implications of their behaviour and the impact it has on other children and the lessons. But when you get to a point where, as I said about the mobile phone, the responsibility is that, you look after your phone and you make sure it's not disrupting lessons. Now, when it happens and it continues to happen, what's the consequence? And that's it's an easy example to think of. Do you ban phones from schools, or do you teacher take the phone? And our advice to members: don't take the phone, because it ends up with more of an issue than it did before. But you can see what I'm trying to say there is that there needs to be a consequence for their behaviour, and they take responsibility for their behaviour. Now, what form? I'm not for 1 minute advocating any form of corporal punishment or anything like that at all. I just think, if you like, we need to just change the balance a little bit. At the moment, there are no consequences for many children, and we just need to turn that round a little bit to make sure that they take on the responsibility. And I think that's probably the biggest message: is be responsible. And be accountable to all the other youngsters in the classroom.
Yeah, just at 20 seconds, Kieran, is a lack of consequence damaging?
Really interesting. I'm a practitioner psychologist, so although I've done my time with the textbooks, I'm not living in a fluffy place. I'm also a parent and grandmother. And I was a behaviour specialist back in the 90s when the Elton report was saying exactly the same thing, that behaviour of pupils was terrible, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So, you don't throw out consequences and implications. You communicate and you increase young people's understanding. You work with parents and you support school staff. This is complex and there's no quick fix.
Thank you very much, all three of you. Really interesting chat there. To BBC Radio Scotland with Laura McGee. It's Wednesday, so that means we have another humdrum conundrum for our judgmental friend Karen McKenzie.
Is it unreasonable to say that guests should know better than to wear white to a wedding?
What do you reckon then? Should you wear white as a guest to a wedding, or is that a big no-no? We know Karen always has an opinion, but it's you who are the jury. We will find out the verdict in today's Court of Karen, and there's still plenty of time to get your view into her on 80295. And after 25 years, the working men of Sheffield are back on our screens.
I know you. Know you. I've got it! You were stripless. Are you still doing it?
What do you think?
Yes, the Full Monty has returned with the original cast. I'll be speaking to two of them before midday. And it's the announcement that has shocked the world of golf.
A surprise merger has been announced this afternoon to try to heal a bitter split in the world of golf. The PGA Tour has agreed to merge with the Saudi-backed LIV Circuit.
Yes, some professional golfers say they're shocked and angry after not being consulted. We'll find out what the increased involvement of Saudi Arabia will mean for the future of the sport. And were you kept up all night by that sound? We'll find out the controversial way to save your relationship with a chronic snorer.
All the conversations that matter.
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
I've been done it real good. Yes, I did it all, y'all. I did everything that I could. I stroked it to roll off the bed on the floor. I stood up in it, then I stroked it some more. I stood up in it until my knees got weak. I've been stroking a long time. My woman said, ooh wee. I did it all, y'all. I did everything that I could. I did it all, y'all. And it made my woman feel so good. I made her talk to me, call me all sorts of names. Say, ooh, baby, darling, chick. And y'all know that's my name. I've been asked to hate it because it hurt so good. Y'all, I stroked it as long and as hard as I could. I did it all, y'all. Some say I'm damn good. Yes, I did it all, y'all. Some women out there with their boyfriend and husband good. I stooped way down in it because my woman like it like that. She said, hold on, daddy, I want you to stroke it from the back. She said, don't stand there with that funky little grin. Come on back and see mama every now and then. I did it all, y'all. I even did it in the park. Yes, I did it all, y'all. I even made her stoop down and bark. I was standing up in it when some of you was in the Georgia stick. Now you got a taste of it and you think you got it lit. I did it all, y'all. I did everything that I could. I did it all, y'all. To make my woman feel so good. She said, you're boning me like you own me, and it's getting real slick. She said, hold back, little daddy, we'll be done too quick. She said, let me slide down and put my foot on the wall. The way you stand up in it, I want you to have it all. I did it all, y'all. From the head to the toe. Yes, I did it all, y'all. Just you just couldn't take no more. I did it all, y'all. From the front to the back. I did it all, y'all. I got that good sack.
Good morning. You are listening to Laura McGee on Mornings Today. Please do get in touch with us this morning, 80295, if you have to have a little say in your Court of Karen verdict. Should you wear white to a wedding? But first, let's have another musical track. It's about time. Let's listen to Ready to Go by Republica. All rise. The Court of Karen is back in session as we hear your verdict on this week's conundrum. We are looking at the controversial topic of wearing white to weddings. But as ever, the final verdict does indeed lie with you, the jury. Let's remind you of the case put before the court this week.
I was recently the bridesmaid at my friend's wedding. It was a beautiful day that was slightly spoiled by not one, but two guests wearing white lacy dresses. They would not have looked out of place at their own wedding. My friend saw them and she was understandably upset. I couldn't believe that they thought it was an okay thing to wear. I asked one of the guests during the reception why she was wearing that, and she looked so confused and basically told me to mind my own business. Is this happening at every wedding? Is it unreasonable to expect people to resist wearing white to this one occasion?
Well, Karen is back with us. And Karen...
Quite a response, eh?
Quite a response. I would say, actually, Karen, I maybe think that you've come out quite well in this.
Do you think? Yeah, well, yeah. Well, John. Oh, no, John. I'm just talking rubbish here. Oh, there's a Jay in Aberdeen, there's a John in Aberdeen.
Okay.
Jay in Aberdeen says, I don't see what the issue is for a guest to wear a white outfit. What a fuss about nothing. Personally, I wouldn't want to wear white as it can make a large person look bigger. So unflattering, really. So there we are.
About the practicalities there.
Yes.
Why would you wear white anyway, in Jay's opinion? Because it might not be super flattering. I don't know who JJ in Glasgow is, Karen.
Oh, I heard from JJ earlier as well. I think on your programme earlier on.
Well, if it's the same JJ, but JJ seems to think that you're.
Well, he thinks
right.
I'm wise.
He thinks you're wise.
Wise and correct.
And
He didn't say
indeed
that
correct.
last week, so I'll take it this week. Wise and correct. I'll just stop there. Right, okay, it's the bride's day. I suppose turning up like a big meringue is wrong and daft. If you had all the additional stuff, hats, shoes and flowers, there's no danger of the wrong people being married.
Well, I mean, yes, usually you can still tell who it is.
I think you can. What have you got on Adele's side?
I've got on Adele's side. So this one doesn't have a name in it, but it says, I think it is completely unreasonable for anyone to wear white to a wedding other than the bride. As a soon-to-be bride myself,
right.
I would not hesitate to ask a guest to leave my wedding if they turned up in white. And it is stated on my invitations and save the dates. P.S. Please do not wear white.
Well, they're not going to wear white if they've been asked not to wear white.
So you think that maybe everyone should just start adopting that plan?
Well, tell them not to wear it.
Tell them not to wear it because you don't want them to wear it.
God, you've been a bit controlling.
Well, they say other people have their opinions, that's fine.
Right.
But this is mine and my other half's day, and I'll do it my way.
Well, you do it your way.
Well,
I think it's your day and you do it that way.
Good
Fair
on
enough,
you.
fair
Good
enough.
on you.
Rona for Trose. Hi, Rona. She says, where will you want? It's a celebration. So there we are. And someone else saying, I wore a cream dress to my daughter's wedding. Had feathers on it. It was beautiful. I'm sure it was. It was lovely.
And this one, Nell in Dumfries and Galloway. Queen Victoria was responsible for the white cake and dress tradition. I've never worn white to a wedding, nor would I, apart from out else. It's so impractical.
Oh, apart from out else, it's so impractical. It is, isn't it? Yeah. Imagine getting a glass of red wine down it.
Well, and that is always a worry at a wedding, isn't it? A shirt or top, fine, at a push, but who wants to go about with food or drink stains showing? My first wedding, I wore cream and tan. My second wedding, I wore a red velvet mid-length dress with a black and charcoal brocade jacket.
Wow.
Some social rules are unwritten.
Wow. That sounds, yeah.
This one's interesting, though. So it says, Karen's conundrum. Although I think the white dress at a wedding thing is outdated and quite frankly ridiculous, I recently fell foul of such a tradition. As mother of the groom, I ended up purchasing a replacement non-white dress from Edinburgh Airport.
Oh my God, right.
On the way to the... Where do you get a dress from Edinburgh Airport?
Those expensive shops at the...
right.
Can you come back through them?
Oh.
If you know what I mean.
I see, like past the duty free and into the sort of main area that's very extortionately overpriced.
Yeah, but I didn't know you came back that way, but maybe you do.
She's going to the wedding, I think, and obviously has realised that she needs a different dress.
Or maybe it's at Kirchdorfen.
Ah, right. Well, apparently as mother of the groom, wearing my beautiful and elegant silk Hobbs floral dress would mean I disapprove of the bride.
Seriously?
I had no choice but to respect this tradition.
Oh, no!
So they've had to buy an emergency dress. Would you catch yourself buying an emergency dress, Karen?
Yeah, blinkers? No, absolutely not. I wouldn't know about that. Isn't that funny?
Well,
so if you wear a particular... that's just all
If you showed
rubbish.
up to a wedding, Karen, this is just a personal question of mine, and somebody was wearing the exact same outfit as you.
That's happened.
Would you turn round and go home and quickly change if you were in the distance to do so?
No, I would just think, thank God I look better in mine than she does in hers.
You've got the confidence. No one could take that away from you.
I haven't, absolutely not. I'd think, oh God, they look so much better. But you know what? No, it just wouldn't sit at the same. You would just avoid them. But the thing is, I think that actually that did happen at somebody's recently, and the older person, the person my age, went up to the younger one and said, "Oh dear," like to make light of it and to kind of like, and then the younger one was furious and you think, oh. And I think the older one did have a replacement dress, but she thought, in principle, because you've given me that attitude, I'm not going to change.
I just think nowadays, surely nobody can care that much if you wear the same.
You've got to
dress
laugh
as another.
about it, haven't you?
You've got to.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to point out, you try and differentiate teenagers nowadays in the street. They are dressed identically.
Oh, you're starting to sound old, Laura.
I know.
That's not allowed. You're not that age.
It's not good, is it?
The policemen are young as well.
Exactly. Everyone just seems so young these days. How could they be a professional? Karen, it's been lovely to meet you
really
in person.
nice. Hope to see you again.
And we will no doubt meet many more times, I'm sure. But
so.
I think you've probably come off.
I don't know, but I'm going to take it. If you're saying that, you're the presenter, I'm going to take it. Kate would never give me that. She'd always blinking well put me down. But I'm loving it, so I'm making the most of it. And I'm off now before you change your mind.
Off you go, Karen. Thank you so much. Cheerio, cheerio. That was the Court of Karen. And of course, Karen McKenzie there. And we were talking, should you wear white to a wedding? Right, you're listening to Mornings with Laura McGee. It is 11:17.
It kind of feels like the next chapter is opening up.
The BBC Radio Scotland Young Traditional Musician for 2023 is Amy Lawrenson.
Could you be the next winner of this life-changing award? The search for BBC Radio Scotland's Young Traditional Musician 2024 is on.
Being part of it was such a great experience. Just spending time with such amazing musicians.
Singers and instrumentalists aged between 16 and 27 have until midnight on Sunday the 25th of June 2023 to apply. For more information, terms, privacy notice and to enter, head to bbc.co.uk/youngtrad.
And let me just give you a little bit more detail about that if you are interested in entering the BBC Radio Scotland Young Traditional Musician 2024. So if you are a singer or instrumentalist aged between 16 and 27 with a passion for traditional music, you could very well win this prestigious title. The final event will be broadcast live from the City Halls in Glasgow as part of next year's Celtic Connections Festival. If you think it could be you, then you've got until midnight on Sunday the 25th of June 2023 to apply. For full terms, conditions, privacy notice and all that, and of course, importantly, to enter, head to bbc.co.uk/youngtrad. And good luck if you are thinking about entering it. Next year, we're going to talk all about golf.
Get in touch with BBC Radio Scotland.
You can call our free phone number on 08085 92 95 00. Text 80295. Standard message rates apply.
This is BBC Radio Scotland.
The golfing world was absolutely stunned yesterday by the shocking merger announcement coming after a year of bitter rivalry and disturbance in the men's game. Alongside the potential consequences or opportunities for the game, though, there were revived concerns about the involvement of LIV's owners, the Public Investment Fund of the State of Saudi Arabia. The PIF is already the majority owner of Newcastle United, has funded boxing events and Formula One races, and the country is reported to be interested in bidding for the 2030 World Cup. Some groups, including Amnesty International, have called this sports washing. So what does sports washing mean, and what does the future of golf and other sports look like? Well, joining me to discuss this morning is Michael McEwen, digital editor and podcast host at Bunkered, and also Joey Dorzo, investigations writer at The Athletic. Good morning, both of you.
Good morning, Laura.
Good morning.
Good morning. Right, let me start with you first, Michael, because actually it is your fault that I found out about this, because I obviously follow you on social media, and I was scrolling through and I saw that you had reacted to something. I think you just put wow. And I was like, what's Michael wowing about? Tell everyone what has happened and just how unbelievable this is, really.
Yeah, first of all, sorry for ruining your day yesterday, Laura. I could have given you a bit more information
Don't
at
worry.
that stage. So essentially what's happened is the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, which is the former European Tour, they were the two main tours in men's professional golf for the longest time. Last year, Live Golf came along, which is funded, as you say, by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. They had this vision for creating a new type of golf, a new tour, a new circuit. And one of the biggest concepts in that was team golf. So there was a lot of division, rancor, schism about their emergence. They poached effectively a number of the game's biggest players, most high-profile players, controversial players, and gave them huge sums of money to go and align with their new venture. So that actually got underway a year ago this week with the first event down in London, at which point all those players who did jump ship for Live were then immediately banned by the PGA Tour and hit with sanctions that only in April they were successfully upheld by the DP World Tour. So this, essentially what I'm describing there, is one of the biggest divisions and rifts in not just golf but potentially all professional sport. It seemed that the division was so deep that there was no way back. I mean, the idea that there was even a remote possibility that we could get to some kind of ceasefire and truce seemed completely unfathomable yesterday morning. And lo and behold, they went a significant number of steps further by agreeing this merger. So no more litigation, all's well that ends well, and everyone's meant to shake hands and I guess kind of forget that the last 12 to 18 months happened.
It has been an absolute shock to so many people, not least to seemingly some of the players, Michael. I think I saw a tweet from Colin Morikawa who was basically like, I had no idea that this was happening. Wonderful to hear the news on Twitter. What has been the reaction from those in the golfing world and people that have been so vocal of being against Live Golf, like Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy?
Yeah, we'll hear Rory's thoughts in just a few hours' time. He's currently in Canada playing in this week's PGA Tour event and is scheduled to speak to the press after he plays a practice round this morning. I would suspect that Rory won't be best pleased. He, and I'm led to believe Tiger, knew nothing about this until yesterday morning when they found out along with the rest of us. And that's the most remarkable part of it all. This all appears to have been a deal that's been struck by a very small group of people at the top end of the pyramid in each of the three associations that are organising all of this. You know, it's been a very clandestine, dare I say, cloak and dagger deal that has been brokered. So for the guys that jumped ship for Live and took, in some cases, 9-figure sums just to sign on, they are obviously, as you can imagine, like Phil Mickelson, quite delighted because they now have been, in their mind, vindicated for making this move and for aligning with the new venture in Saudi Arabian money, whereas other guys who remained loyal to the PGA Tour, pledged their fealty to the US-based circuit, and I know for a fact in some cases turned down 8 and indeed 9-figure sums from Live to stay with the PGA Tour. They're now saying, "Well, wait a minute, I could have had a bit of that, and instead I didn't." So
exactly,
it's almost been a case of do as I say, not as I do, by the PGA Tour leadership.
Yeah, let's bring in Joey Durzo, investigations writer at The Athletic. Thank you very much for being with us this morning, Joey. Is this essentially Live and then, in effect, Saudi Arabia buying the PGA and European Tour buying golf?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much a summary of what's happened. And we've seen Saudi Arabia, I mean, as you mentioned earlier, buying Newcastle United, and they have lots of involvement in boxing. I mean, it's part of this much bigger trend, which some people call sports washing, of states getting involved in sport and using sport for their own ends. I mean, there are lots of reasons why people get involved in ownership in sport. I mean, historically, particularly with smaller clubs, people just do it because, they enjoy it or, they often lose lots of money. The other reason is to make money. For example, you've got the Glazer family at Manchester United who have made an awful lot of money over the years owning that club. But we're seeing more and more now that people are owning sports clubs, not really to make money at all. I mean, the Saudis will spend a hell of a lot of money doing this. They're doing it for sort of reasons that are often quite hard to really explain or to work out, but basically about furthering state interest. And that's the interest of the Saudi Arabian state, which is, obviously extremely rich on oil, but the oil won't last forever. And so people in Saudi Arabia are sort of planning for the next few decades when the oil runs out, and they want sport to be a huge part of what Saudi Arabia does or what Saudi Arabia is. And you've got other oil states like Qatar, which of course hosted the Men's World Cup in the winter, owns Paris Saint-Germain. You've got and also made by Manchester United. You've got Abu Dhabi, part of the UAE, which owns Manchester City, winning just about everything in English football. So increasingly, top-level football, golf, all sorts of other sports are now really part of this big power play in the Middle East, which is extremely new.
Yeah, it does come as Benzema has gone to join Ronaldo and play his football in Saudi Arabia. 4 of the biggest clubs in the country have been taken over by Saudi Public Investment Fund, who also own Newcastle. So do you think Saudi-backed sport is becoming more acceptable to people?
Well, I mean, they're clearly incredibly ambitious, and money talks. So, but I think the golf situation yesterday just shows the level of that ambition. I mean, we don't really know with football where it's going to end. They've got Newcastle, but I think Newcastle are just a small sort of pawn in a broader game, really. Will they be buying up clubs in other countries? Will they even try to do something similar with golf? I mean, could they set up an alternative to the Champions League and just pay people more money? I mean, obviously the sums involved there will be obscene, but I think these things are possible in the longer term.
Yeah. Michael, what does this mean in terms of the Ryder Cup and players who have been fined by the PGA and DP World Tours previously? Does that just get chalked off?
Yeah, there's an awful lot of water going under an awful lot of bridges there, Laura. So it'll be interesting. I mean, from what I gather, the Ryder Cup will go ahead this year without any change to the schedule or any of the things that have happened in the background. For example, Henrik Stenson, who was quite unceremoniously dumped as Europe's captain last summer after he jumped ship for LIV, he won't be taking over from Luke Donald. He won't be getting his captaincy armband back, so to speak, but not this year. I think what it means is that all of that's now back in play for Ryder Cups going forward, which for fans, presumably, you'd have to say is a good thing. The idea that Lee Westwood, Sergio Garcia and Ian Poulter, who are really cornerstones of Europe's success in the Ryder Cup over the last 30 years or so, the idea that they wouldn't get to have any further involvement, not necessarily as a player, but as a captain in the match, I think left a lot of fans feeling a little bit shortchanged. If they get the opportunity to do that again, not only will fans get a better Ryder Cup, but it will be a bigger commercial success than it might otherwise have been. And bear in mind, the DP World Tour is heavily reliant on the Ryder Cup being a commercial success. That's one of its biggest cash cows. Might not need it quite so much now that it's got some PIF money presumably coming its way, but every little helps, as they say.
Yeah, just finally, Michael, obviously golf is a huge sport in Scotland. We refer to ourselves as the home of golf. Do you think that something like this, that does seem quite far removed from a lot of us, do you think it will have an impact on the popularity of the sport here in Scotland and generally at a sort of amateur level?
Sort of remains to be seen, because I mean, golf's been enjoying a really great time over the last few years. I hesitate to say that anything good came from COVID, but if it did, in a golf sense, the fact that participation boomed and membership boomed, that's obviously been a good thing. In terms of what the Saudi Arabian influence will have on golf at grassroots and will people be more or less inclined to play, the sports washing argument's a very interesting one, and it seems that people have had an awful lot to say about Saudi Arabia and its money as it relates to golf and its involvement there. It's always struck me as a slightly odd one. I mean, by all means, everyone can have their own opinions on it, but the idea that we are drawing a line in terms of what is and isn't morally or ethically acceptable because of what a bunch of professional golfers have done has always struck me as slightly odd. PIF invests in Disney. I took my daughter to Disneyland last year. I use Facebook. I use Uber. I go to BP to fill up my car. The PIF invests in all of them. Invests in Bank of America, Citigroup, and so on. So, it's where do we want to draw the moral and ethical line? So for me, we'll wait and see exactly how golf and golfers respond, but in the interim, I don't think it'll have a huge amount of an effect at grassroots level.
Yeah, it's all very interesting stuff, and all eyes will be on what Rory McIlroy says later. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Joey Durzo, investigations writer at The Athletic, and Michael McEwen, digital editor and podcast host at Bunkered. Thank you very much to both of those. Really interesting chat there. Right, let's take a little bit of a break. Here's Let's Groove.
My baby, let's dance till we go crazy. It's yours, and so are we. Let's make love and dance the night away. What I really wanna do is just dance with you and feel your body tight. Show you how to do it right. I can show you every move. I know just what to do. Each step will feel so fine. music hypnotized. Let our bodies synchronize. One beat and you and me. 'Cause baby, when we hit the floor, you'll be asking for more. Let's make it loud and dance the night away. Oh, come and dance with me, my baby. Let's dance till we let's go crazy, let's go crazy. The night is young and so are we. Let's make it loud and dance the night away. Oh, when it comes to dancing, I know how to move. When it comes to passion, I know just what to do. I feel the music inside. I feel like I am alive. Tempo was right. Let's make it loud. Oh, come and dance with me till we go crazy. The night is young. Let's make love. Let's dance the night away. Oh, come and dance. Let's dance. The night. Let's make love and dance the night away. Oh, come and dance with me, my baby. Let's dance till we go crazy. And so are we. Let's make love and dance the night away. Oh, baby, dance with me, baby. Let's dance till we go crazy. The night is young, and so are we. Let's make love and dance the night away. Oh, come and dance with me, my baby. Let's dance crazy. The night is young, and so are we. Let's make love and dance the night away. Oh, come and dance with me, my baby. Let's dance till we go crazy.
You're listening to Mornings with Laura McGee. It's 11:34 on Wednesday, the 7th of June. I hope you're well this morning. Now, there is nothing worse than drifting off into a deep slumber only to be woken by this. Now, a leading sleep scientist says the best way to deal with a snoring partner might just simply be to kick them out of the bed. Professor of Circadian Neuroscience at Oxford University, Russell Foster, is with us now, and he's joined by broadcaster and self-confessed snorer, Josie Smith. Good morning, both of you.
Morning.
Good morning. Right, Russell. So the solution is simply to just get your snoring partner out the bed, kick them out, off they go. Don't even bother trying to solve this situation.
Well, not completely. I mean, some people actually report the slow, gentle snoring of their partner can actually help them get to sleep. But I think for many of us, it's very, very unhelpful. And it can be unhelpful at two levels. First of all, difficulty getting to sleep. And then if you wake up and your partner's snoring loudly, it's then getting back to sleep. And that can cause immense frustration. And rather than getting angry and sort of blaming your partner for not getting a good night's sleep, then if you have the option of sleeping in a separate room, I would recommend it.
The thing is, people maybe don't take this as seriously as it can be, because lack of sleep is a difficult thing, a horrible thing if it is prolonged. And living with a snorer, being criticised for snoring for years, I guess that can chip away at your relationship over time when it is something that you desperately need. Everyone needs to sleep.
Yeah, and of course, we all know what it's like if you don't get your sleep. And so, for example, you have mood fluctuations, increased irritability. You can have increased levels of anxiety. And one really interesting feature is you lose empathy. You become less sympathetic to the people that, who are around you. You do stupid and unreflective things. You're much more impulsive. And what's some really interesting data that's emerged recently has shown that if you're tired, the tired brain tends to remember negative experiences, but forgets the positive ones. So at every level, of course, sleep is important. And then we go into things like memory consolidation and the processing of information. And then finally, our communication skills And of course, that daytime sleepiness. If we're not getting good sleep at night, there's a tendency to want to sleep during the day. And there's a thing called microsleeps, and that's falling to sleep uncontrollably during the day. And that's really bad news.
I've got to pick you up on what you've just said there, Russell, about people who don't sleep as well become less sympathetic to everyone or to the person, the reason they think they're not sleeping for.
I think generally, but certainly if you have a reason to blame somebody for something else, then you're going to be even less sympathetic. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We've got to sort of embrace our sleep, because the quality of our sleep defines the quality of how we interact with others and our wake state generally.
This is fascinating to me, in particular because my substantive job is to do an overnight radio programme. So my sleep is absolutely rubbish at the best of times.
And there's some serious stuff emerging in this space, because one of the things that's going on whilst we sleep is the clearance of toxins from the brain. And one such toxin would be beta amyloid, which is a misfolded protein. And the buildup of beta amyloid within the brain has been associated with dementia and Alzheimer's disease. And there's been some very interesting studies showing that if you don't sleep sufficiently, you can build up these misfolded proteins in the brain. And that may be the reason why very poor sleep in the middle years is a risk factor for dementia in later years. Now, I wouldn't say poor sleep's going to cause dementia, but if you're on that risk spectrum, then poor sleep might make the situation worse for you.
Right, let's bring in Josie now. Josie Smith, broadcaster. You and your partner both snore. So does that kind of cancel each other out then, Josie? If you're snoring...
I'm now exhausted and stressed listening to this conversation. Yes, we both snore a bit. I'm not a bad snorer. I know I've just been introduced as a snorer, but I'm not, snoring in the most ladylike, elegant way possible. But yeah, I was woken up with sort of general life anxiety, woke myself up about half six this morning, and there's my lesser half lying beside me with his mouth hanging open, slavering and snoring away. But I think what's difficult when you both snore a little, and we're not horrific snorers, but I do think, oh geez, if this is going to be my life partner, are we just going to get progressively worse over time? It's almost like a race to get to sleep. Because I think you can snore sometimes just when you fall asleep, just before you wake up. Maybe there's not a specific pattern to it, but that's how it seems to be for the two of us. But, you want to be the first one to sleep. But if I'm very tired, I've been told I snore more. But, yeah, I mean, obviously it puts a wee bit of stress on it because it's just a little bit of a niggle, and it's something we wind each other up about in a sort of typical sarky way at the moment. But is this going to be the demise of our relationship over the long term? I'm not sure.
And is there anything that you can do to stop it? So I don't know. Do you have a spare room that one of you can go and sleep in and you can separate, or does that defeat the purpose of being in a relationship?
We do. Well, we do tend to sleep in separate beds occasionally. Because maybe I've got to get up really early, or maybe I'm coming in late. If sleep has to be of paramount importance on a particular night, then I think there's nothing wrong. But I think it does impact your intimacy, and it's a bit like, oh, now are we just flatmates or housemates, when it's like, all right, okay, night. But no, I mean, I've not got to the stage where I've tried to smother him in the night with a pillow or anything.
Well,
I mean,
that's
it's crossed
good
my
to know.
mind, but I haven't actually done anything about it.
Hopefully you don't do it, because you've announced it on live radio. So
bit of a giveaway.
A bit of a giveaway. Russell, just to come back to you, is there any other way that you can improve your sleep, try and not snore, or is that kind of dietary? Is that just who you are as an individual? You might just be a snorer, you might not.
Well, there is a genetic predisposition, and the architecture of the throat can certainly influence whether you're going to snore or not. But there are other things. So if you're taking sleeping tablets, or if you're drinking alcohol, that will increase the relaxation of the musculature in the throat and make it more likely to snore. If you're lying on your back, that can really promote snoring. And that's what I've heard some people do. Their partner has stitched a tennis ball into the back of their pajamas, and so that they then have to sleep on their side rather than their back. It's a partial sort of cure, but the other thing I read the other day, which I think is a little depressing, is that as we age, we deposit fat in our tongue. You know, if it's not difficult enough to age, but actually knowing your tongue gets fatter. And of course, the tongue-based snoring is quite important because it can flip back and then block the airway and then provide a sort of a lot of source of the noise and the vibration of snoring. So yeah, you can try losing weight, and that will help. You can try not drinking too much alcohol. You can try not to take, you know, sedatives such as sleeping tablets. And as Josie said, if you're very tired, you will have a greater tendency to snore. So, you know, it's trying to keep a good sleep regime will reduce your snoring as well.
Right.
But I mean, I think that the key, what's so interesting is there seems to be a huge stigma about this. And certainly when I've suggested it, you know, that separate beds may be the answer, or separate rooms are the answer, people say, oh, I've slept with somebody for 40 years. You know, it's the beginning of the end of our relationship. I don't think it is. I think you can make it into something rather lovely. You can sort of, you know, maybe take your partner a cup of tea first thing in the morning. You know, you can look at each other with refreshed and renewed vigor and energy.
Russell, I don't think you live with a snorer. I don't think you have. Thank you so much, Russell. Thank you so much. It's been really interesting talking to you, Professor Russell Foster, Professor of Circadian Neuroscience at Oxford University, and Josie Smith there, who I think is a little bit worried now about going to bed tonight and whether or not she should push her partner out the bed or not. But thank you to both of you for speaking to me. It is 11:43.
Getting to
Fighting's no longer done in the battlefields, Payne.
Killing is my business, and business is good.
Now all the blood is shed in the halls of Congress.
Gotta be somebody needs some killing.
There's no one left. You killed them all.
Major Benson Winifred Payne needs a job.
Major Payne reporting for duty, sir. Why?
But this isn't what he had in mind.
Hey, oh, yes, sir. What's your name, girly mouth? I have 8 weeks to turn you gaggle of maggot into a well-disciplined cadet unit. Tomorrow, ladies, we gonna start the hard stuff.
The hard stuff?
You gotta get rid of that jerk.
These kids need a minor miracle, but what they've got is a major pain.
Hi, I'm Emily Walburn, the school counselor.
You want Rissa?
You need to be more sensitive.
What's your angle, boy? Did I give you permission to sneeze over there?
No, sir.
Bleep, bleep, bleep. What are you laughing at, pig boy?
His methods may be madness, but now they're learning. No pain, no gain.
Boy's making me soft.
Them boys need you.
Universal Pictures presents
Benson, nobody does the robot anymore.
Guess I gotta dig further into my repertoire.
Damon Wayans.
He's back.
Who's back?
The man who lives in my closet.
He's in there. If he's still in there, he ain't happy.
Major pain.
Sensitive.
Stephen Jardine will be back tomorrow from 9, and he'll be joined by Scottish model and actor Robin Dalrymple, aiming to rewrite the rule book and celebrate living with a stoma. And our resident podiatrist Emma McConaughey will be back to answer any questions you might have about your feet. Plus, how can you stop your own competitive streak ruining your kids' sports day? That's tomorrow from 9 o'clock on BBC Radio Scotland. Now, though...
Baby, it was uncool to love me, then leave me standing here now without a goodbye.
this morning. Now, after 25 years, the working men of Sheffield are back on our screens.
You want to get yourself a proper bloody job.
You could go places if you wanted. You're a dad. I just hope you don't wake up one day and realise what you've missed.
You're pregnant.
I'm not bloody pregnant.
Thank God for that.
It's graffiti art. Sheffield's next big thing.
Whatever crazy scheme he's cooked up, just say no.
I am the voice of the one calling from the wilderness.
You are a
schizophrenic.
winner. I know you. Know you. I've got it. You were strippers. Are you still doing it?
What do you think?
Yes, the Full Monty is back next Wednesday, streaming on Disney+. The original cast have returned for the 8-part series, swapping their stage costumes for dog napping, racing pigeons and one very unconventional hostage situation. Joining me now to tell us all about it is Steve Hewison, who plays Lomper, and Wim Snape, who you may remember as 11-year-old Nathan. Good morning, both of you.
Morning. Kate. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, Steve, let me start with you. What's it like being back on set with the old gang again?
Oh, it's great. You know, it's just like putting on an old pair of shoes, really. You know, they never went away. You know, a lot of us have been in touch over the years anyway, and you can't actually shake off the legacy of the Full Monty out of your life once you've done it. So, no, it was just like putting on an old coat.
Oh, brilliant. And you said that you stayed in touch, but is this the first time you've all been together since filming the movie?
I think so, actually, yeah. Well, I mean, we did all the award things and, afterwards, but yeah, it's the first time we've all worked together. I think I've worked with Mark a couple of times since, but it's the first time we're all back together in that sense, yeah.
Yeah. Wim, it must be very different for you because you're returning as an adult. You were part of it when you were very much a child, and now you're able to partake in some of the more adult banter, I imagine, that comes with being part of this cast.
Yeah, I mean, back when we did the film, we were all basically together. You know, we had one Winnebago that we all shared, and these guys just completely took me under their wing, and they looked after me like their own. You know, showed me the ropes, but you know, protected me from some of the more adult themes. But then, you know, now that I'm an adult again, now it's yeah. They.
I think at the time actually we did overexpose few adult things that you shouldn't have. But
yeah, well, you know, you got to start
nothing
somewhere.
illegal.
Yeah. And you know, 11-year-old for me was the time. But this, you know, it's incredible to get us all together again. And as Steve said, you know, a lot of us have kept in touch over the years. And you know, it's just amazing that we get paid to hang around with each other now.
Yeah. Well, what can we expect from the new series then, Wim?
So it's 25 years on from the original film, with, you know, transported with these original characters and lots more new characters. My character in particular, Nathan, is now a police officer in the South Yorkshire Police Department. He's a sergeant. He's got a family of his own, a little son called Ben, who's in a wheelchair. And I suppose his overall objective is to get the best life possible for his son by any means. And yeah, it's, you know, in the original film we had 90 minutes to show these guys' stories, but now we've got 8 hours. So, you know, each episode delves a lot deeper into their lives and who they are and what drives them.
Yeah. Steve, you play Lomper, who was rescued by the gang in the movie. What's happening with your character in this series, and where are Gaz and the gang at in the new series as well?
I think we've all matured, obviously. You know, it's not just picking it up from where we left off. You can't. That was 27 years ago. But you know, it's looking at how the characters have matured and through what circumstances they've matured. Fortunately, that, you know, they're all still together. They're all still in touch, but bringing in the extra new characters as well to it, you know, because obviously they'll have had kids and grandkids. It brings in lots of new different storylines. But in the same way that the film did, you know, we we were filming it just at the end of the Thatcher period. In fact, when the film came out, it coincided with New Labour getting in. And here we are now at the end of a very long, prolonged period of austerity through the Tories. And that gives us a lot of stories to tell as well about, the state of urban life, basically. So there's a lot of political issues running through it, in which the characters are obviously caught up in and embroiled in their everyday lives because the economics are affecting them.
Yeah, brilliant that the series continues on, because the film really was a reflection of the difficulties faced by people in post-industrial Sheffield, as you're saying as well. When the movie in 1997, it really struck a chord with people and has had a lasting impact. First of all, for you, what was it like being part of that as a young boy, and why do you think it is that it has been such a monumental film for so many people?
So The Full Monty was my first ever acting gig. I didn't even really know, I suppose you don't at 11, what you want to do with your life. But after spending, 6 or 7 weeks on a film set and going, wow, we get paid to do this. This is incredible. And to be able to tell these stories and be with like-minded people, creating, art, it's just a dream. And the film, in particular, I don't think there's many stories that have been told prior that tell true stories about working class people and struggling, and the sense of community, the sense of warmth that these people have really shines through in the movie.
Yeah. Just finally, Steve, there's no evidence I've seen of stripping in the series. But
we were just talking about that because we did a questionnaire thing at the Q&A thing at the BFI last night, the Film Institute, and they were asking that. And I thought, oh, hold on a minute, I do actually I do actually attempt to strip at one point, but I won't give too much away. Hold on, you've forgotten. You might not all strip, but I think. Yeah, Lomper has to get his kit off at one point. So
okay, well that's.
I think back when we did the original film, nobody wanted to see it then. So I mean, they really don't want to see it now.
I don't know about that, gentlemen.
well.
It's been so lovely speaking to both of you. Thank you very much for joining me. Good luck with the new series. I'm sure it's going to be an absolute hit. And in honour of you, our last two guests, and the new series of The Full Monty, we've got to listen to some Tom Jones, and you can leave your hat on.
Take off your coat real slow. Baby, take off your shoes. I'll help you take off your shoes. Baby, take off your dress. Yes, yes, yes. You can leave your hat on. You can leave your hat on. You can leave your hat on. Light. No, all the lights. Come back here, stand on that chair. Ooh, baby, that's right. Raise your arms in the air. Now shake 'em. Give me reason to live. You give me reason to live. Suspicious minds are talking. They're trying to tear us apart.
They don't believe in this love of mine.
They don't know what love is.
They don't know what love is. They don't know what love is. They don't know what love is.
I know what love is.
You can leave your hat on. Leave it on.
Tell me, baby.
You can leave your hat on. Leave it on, baby.
Gotta hear it again.
You can leave your hat on.
You can leave your hat on. Yeah.
What a track, what a programme. If you've missed any of today's programme, the whole thing is on BBC Sounds. Thank you very much for your company this morning. Have a lovely day. Up next here on BBC Radio Scotland is Lunchtime Live with Hayley Miller.
Thanks, Laura.